In terms of beating the game, getting like the fighting the final boss, and the optional super boss, which I didn't do this time, because I've beaten Omega Weapon so many times I don't even care anymore. It just wasn't worth it. Dax just walked into one of my lights. I think she's coming back. Yep, she's back. Hi, Dax. We missed you. I would play those really, really cheap. That was like the one thing I knew how to do card mod with. So I would refine Bahamut's card into 100 Mega Elixirs. I would refine Laguna's card into 100 Heroes. Mega Elixirs restore the entire party's HP, and Hero makes you invincible. Then I would get a whole bunch of Aura spells. In this game, limit breaks are done kind of differently too, because everything's done differently in this game. Rather than having a bar that fills up, then once you fill it, you have damage. And once it builds up, you can use special attack. It's when your HP is low, you can use your limit break whenever you want to, but you're putting yourself at risk. You'll get killed by keeping yourself at low HP. And Squall, of course, has the best limit break in the game. To get his final weapon, he'll do a really awesome finishing move called Lionheart, which kills pretty much everything. It's amazing. But, so what I would do is I would cast Aura on Squall. I would put heroes on everybody so they'd be invincible. And then if the hero ever ran out in an inopportune time, I had Mega Elixirs to heal them all. And the hero didn't stop the Mega Elixir from working. So, yeah, because Aura, did I say that? Aura lets you do limit breaks whenever you want to. It's a spell that triggers your limit break at any time, no matter what your HP is. So even though I wasn't doing the low-level, special refining, all that kind of stuff in my previous playthroughs, I still kind of broke the game by the end, because I could beat anything pretty easily by making them invincible. It was great. I made a conscious decision, since I'd overpowered myself so much through the game that it made the entire game pretty much a breeze to get through, that I was not going to do that this time. Which was just yesterday. I didn't do a Mega Weapon. When I got to Ultimecia, also the fact we get to Ultimecia, it seems like ever since you had more people in your party than you could use it at a time, Final Fantasy games are trying to come up with interesting ways to do the final boss battle. Like in 6, they had you order all your characters all the way down from 1 to 14. And the first 4 would start the battle, and every time somebody was knocked out, they'd be replaced by the next person on your list until you ran out of characters. And in 7, they had you split up into multiple parties to fight the boss at the same time. You could check on them periodically and switch parties. I never did that because I didn't care. I just summoned Knights of the Round and killed them in one hit at the end. But in this game, Ultimecia will pick 3 of your characters at random, which is kind of annoying. For a couple of reasons. I'll get to that in a second. It's annoying because I never wanted to not have Squall in my party. I mean, the game, just like with 7, the game forces you to have Squall in your party at all times until the final boss battle. But of course, Squall is your strongest person because he's the person you spent the most time with. But it's a big chance you might not get him at all. And so I've never fought Ultimecia without Squall before. I would just reset the game until I got him, bring on his limit break, and dominate, But this time, I decided to give it a shot. So I ended up beating the game with Zell, Selphie, and Rinoa. And I didn't use any heroes. I didn't do the Mega Elixir thing, just in case I needed them. I did need them on a few occasions. But, I used Auras on Zell and had him use his limit break. Not nearly as powerful as Squall's. I actually had to worry about things hitting me, because I'm used to not being invincible on these things. And I used Selphie's limit break when her HP would get low to do full cures on people sometimes when I need it. I was hoping maybe I'd get the end. Selphie, if you get lucky, she has a slot machine limit break, and one of the things you can do is you can do it over and over again until you get what you want. And one of them is called The End, which I wish I'd recorded because I got it once in this playthrough, a couple of times maybe, and I don't think I've ever actually seen it before outside of watching somebody's recording of it. It takes your enemy to a flower field, and it kills them instantly. No matter who it is, doesn't matter if it's a regular enemy or a boss. Everybody dies instantly, even the final boss of the game. So I was really hoping I'd get at the end, but it never happened. But I just beat her normally, and I got through it, and I didn't have to, wuss out by making myself invincible the entire time. It was kind of nice. But the other potential problem I said this in the FF7 video, is that I felt the problem with that game is that the characters lacked individuality aside from the limit breaks. Especially since the game had a terrible habit of stripping your junctions from you. Your materia from you. And this game does that too. I had this really annoying instance where I hadn't played the game in a while and I came back. The game tells me to do a junction exchange, which is a nice, go into this Laguna flashback. You dream your different character points in the game. And they give you an opportunity to switch your junctions to the characters you're becoming. And so I did my junction exchange, and all of a sudden a battle starts, and all my junctions are off. Like, why'd you even have me do a junction exchange if you weren't gonna let me, if it didn't matter? I mean, that really annoyed me. And it had been so long since I played the game, I didn't know what my junctions were, what characters had which GFs, so I just restarted the game, wrote down what my junctions were in preparation for when they strip me of all my stuff. I hate when they do that. 7 and 8 both do that, and it pisses me off. But I said that at that time I thought 8 had more individuality because it gives you the chance, at least, to have your junctions individualized because of the fact that GFs kind of act like pets. It's like the more an individual character uses it, the faster you can summon them. I never really summoned GFs this playthrough because I was so overpowered. It just a waste of time. I use them for their abilities, that's it, and their junction, be able to junction stuff. But, whenever I played the game before, I had all 6 characters as active. Each one would have their own specific GF. By the time you get 6 characters, you're about to have 6 GFs. So, that made them individual, because each GF has its own stats they can junction to, but not all of them. So it sort of forced me to focus people in different areas. And they each had their own stock of magic, each had their own different junctions, each had their own GF to summon, which had its own specific, strengths and weaknesses. So, and it was easy to remember, unlike the materia where it's like, once they shuffled off all your materia, it was like, well, who had this restore, who had this fire, I don't know, they all kind of look the same now. But it's like, it was easy to remember that Squall always had Quetzalcoatl, Quistis always had Shiva, Zell always had Ifrit, Selphie always had Siren, Renault always had Diablos, Irvin always had brothers. So for me it made them very distinct. But since I was doing it this way this time, following this recommendation of having the best junctions, it meant having to combine GFs and only having a 3-person setup, 3-person party setup, and using junction exchange to switch the junctions over when I would use different characters. So they all sort of became the same again, aside from the limit breaks. They were much more powerful than they were the way I was playing it before, but they had no identity. So that was kind of not as fun, but and then of course when I got to the end of the game, I had to split everything up and figure out how to best make it work because I didn't know who Ultimisi was going to pick, and so I had to have everybody outfitted. So I probably nerfed myself a little bit compared to what I could have done, but I still had a system that worked and pretty much had most major stats junctionable. But I felt really good because I really kind of broke this game this time, and it felt really satisfying. I still got about 50 hours onto it, which is 10 more hours than I spent on FF7. But I hate to say it, but this game didn't really hold up for me as well as I thought it was going to. I probably talked for way too long on this. It might be 3 frickin' videos at this point. But I loved the story in this game when I first played it. I loved the romance. I loved all of it. I should say, this is the first time I've played this game since I got into the Spoonie one. The Spoonie experiment. I found him in 2008 or so, right after I played the game the last time, because of his Final Fantasy VIII review, which he eviscerates. But it's so flippin' fun. That's how I got into him in the first place, was through these reviews of him tearing apart a game that I love. This is the first time I played the game since, watching those reviews, and it really, he's like, yeah, he's kind of right in a lot of areas. And also, when I first played this game, I'd never actually been in a relationship before. It's probably the same reason why I thought Attack of the Clones 2 years later was just a dreamy love story, only to actually have some real romantic experience under my belt, and go, oh, this is, people don't act like this. This is kind of stupid. And the love story doesn't work for me. It's like Renoa starts out annoyed by Squall because he's aloof, and Squall starts out annoyed by Renoa because she's an idiot. But then at the end of Disc 1, Squall saves her life, and from then on she's totally clingy with him, and all the rest of the characters want to fix them up together for no reason. There's really... even Squall is like, why are you doing this? What's the point of this? They're just like forcing this narrative down our throats, and then all of a sudden when Renoa goes into a coma, all of a sudden Squall's like, I love you! I wish you were here with me, despite the fact we've had really no meaningful interactions together. And I've expressed no interest in you prior to this point. It's not a great love story, I hate to say it, because I loved this so much growing up, and I hate that it doesn't hold up for me as much as it used to. But also the story in general. Again, when I was a kid, going into high school, it was like, this was so cool. This is so adult and grown up. And now that I'm in my 30s, it's not quite the same perspective anymore. And I knew going in, I was kind of looking at it the wrong way, I think, as a kid. Because a bunch of people always tout that this is the one where they did realistically proportioned characters and more realistic character models, and this is the serious Final Fantasy game. It really isn't. Because it's about a group of kids in a high school, basically, who are being trained to go off and fight wars. I mean, if this was being taken seriously, this would be a really horrific thing. But it's not. It's treated as this sort of regular, everyday run-of-the-mill, oh, my exam, my test before my final exam is to go to the fire cave and defeat the fire demon, and it's played completely straight. And then my final exam is to go liberate a town from an occupying force. And that's what I find charming about this game, is that it takes those elements and just makes it like, a sort of a metaphor for growing up kind of thing. It's like, oh, this is what you do in high school. This is you go fight wars, you go vanquish the fire demon, and you couch it in all this sort of language, like, oh, this is your final exam, and oh, here's a tutorial the teacher's going to give you before she whips a bat into submission, and it's just, it's the juxtaposition of the mundane and the fantastic, which is really cool. I just don't think the game really follows through with it after those opening scenes. It's sort of and it goes through like disc 1 or so, which is really cool, where it's like, the leader of this guerrilla, liberation faction is just a teenage girl. When she gets home, her dad sends her to her room, But in some places it goes too far. Some places it doesn't go far enough. Like when they send her to, like when the dad sends Renoa to her room, and later on Keistis yells at her for being a little twit. And they go to their plan to assassinate the sorceress, their very important government mission to assassinate a political figure, and then Keistis is like, I feel bad. We should go back and apologize. You're an idiot! You are such an idiot! Even as a kid, I thought that was stupid. And then the worst part, of course, is when the major revelation at the end of Disc 2 that, oh, they all grew up together in the same orphanage, but they forgot because they got amnesia because the GF took out part of the brain. It's so stupid! I'm sorry, the story is just not that great. And then, I don't know, the coup de grace for me is when, just right after that, because you have to have the stupidity pile up. Right after that is when the garden's under attack. By then the school can fly, and it's this flying fortress. But your rival school is also a flying fortress too. And they get into this big fight, and they smash into each other. But at one point, okay, well, God, there's so many stupid things that happen during this. It's a really cool part of the scene because there's so many cool FMVs and fighting sequences, and you're under siege, and the occupying force jumps into your garden and starts tearing up your stuff. And it's really cool, but there's just so many stupid things that happen that make it impossible for me to take seriously, and it made it hard for me to take it seriously as a teenager, where it's like, first of all, Renoa wants to borrow Squall's ring, and so Zell, in the middle of this combat situation, asks Squall to borrow the ring. It's like, hey, can you just stop fighting for a second? Because I really need to borrow this ring from you. And again, it's like, I don't care if you're a teenager. Priorities, man. Priorities. And then at one point, Renoa falls off the side of the garden and is hanging on for dear life on the edge of the thing. And they spend like 20 minutes trying to figure out how to get her back up. They're running all over the place. Meanwhile, the gardens are smashing into each other. And somehow, she doesn't fall off during any of this. It's like 20 minutes later, Squall gets this mecha and flies around and picks her up, and it's like, no, she'd be dead by now. There's no way she's holding on by her freaking fingertips, for all that time. But as if that wasn't stupid enough, you have Squall, who they've forced into this leadership position when he's like the newbie seed. But they're like, Squall, you gotta be the leader, you gotta be the leader, you gotta lead our troops to victory, you gotta lead this entire garden. They're all like, Squall, why aren't you saving Renoa? She's one of us. She's one flippin' person, okay? Shut up. Shut up, you stupid, stupid adolescents. Stop whining that I'm not saving one person when I'm trying to lead this entire campaign, and I'm sorry that you're trying to get me to get in a sack with her, but I've got better things to do right now. I'm sorry. It's one person versus everybody. Oh. I still love this game. I promise. I still do. But it has problems. It's stupid. And again, at the beginning it was stupid in a good way, where it was a cool juxtaposition of disparate, of the mundane and the fantastic. Later on it just got stupid. And I can't overlook that. As much as I want to. As much fun as I had playing at this time, and playing in a new way. Playing in a way that made it a lot of fun, even though it was very, very easy. The story is just asinine. I'm sorry, but it is. It's supposed to be a love story, and that's their excuse for not developing the main villain at all. Because it's just the fighting is just a backdrop. It's really about these two characters falling in love, and this misanthropic introvert learning how to love, how to trust people again. And the love story sucks. I'm sorry, it does. Why did I play this game again? Because I could have just had my happy memories with it, and I could have been a stupid teenager where I didn't know any better, and this was fantastic. But it's still a fun world. I love exploring the world. I love the locations in this game. The art direction is just superb. It definitely has some problems. It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite Final Fantasy game. It's among my favorites. But it just has problems. And I'm glad I played it again. And I'm glad I had to buy a new copy of the game. Whatever. But that's Final Fantasy VIII. I've already started on Final Fantasy IX. I can't wait to talk to you about that one. But let's see. Is there anything else I want to talk about? No, I don't think so. I got every single card for the first time ever. I still got all the GS. I think the only side quests I didn't do a Mega Weapon, and I didn't do the Obel Lake side quest because that's a crime against freaking humanity. I'm never gonna go through that crap again. That's just so tedious and unpleasant. I'm never doing that again. But yeah, that's Final Fantasy VIII. It definitely has some issues. It's a lot of issues. But it's my first Final Fantasy game, and it has a very, very special place in my heart. So I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!